Tuesday night edition of the Anaheim Calling podcast. We are back to discuss a historic night, somewhat. Ryan Kesler hitting 1,000 games in his NHL career, which, by the way, against all odds, if you look at the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, well, last 2.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm lumping in the 16-17 season. So I'm just going to cut right to the chase here. We're going to talk about the game in a second. The Ducks winning this one 3-1 against Arizona. Looking good, by the way.
Yes.
Troy Terry getting his 3rd goal of the season.
American hero Troy Terry. My boy, Troy Terry.
Jake really upset about that. Really upset about that.
I mean, if there's one thing that's going to make me like overlook my tanking feelings, it's going to be a very, very nice Troy Terry goal, which we got tonight.
I mean, yes, we will get into that, but I do think that this Ryan Kesler situation deserves an extended conversation, because today Alex Pruitt, fantastic writer for Sports Illustrated, who has written some of the best feature articles in the game, in sports, I would even say, within the last few years, took his talents to Anaheim. And I got to say, the article came out fantastic. Basically, he basically did a deep dive into Ryan Kesler's rehab process the last basically 3 years. I mean, going back now to 2016-17 season, and just, you know, what Alex does so great with his features is, you know, like what the great journalists do is they give you that money detail, and none more so, I think, encapsulated than by the fact that last summer Ryan Kesler spent $60,000 to build a home gym on the first floor of his vacation home, because due to his hip, he could not walk up the stairs. Literally could not walk up the stairs. I'm just going to say it, his left, or I think it was his right butt cheek, had atrophied so bad in the season, in the 17-18 season, that there's a quote, I believe, in the article, it's something to the effect of, I had half an ass. Literally, and it got so bad in the 2017-18 season that he had to go visit a specialist, had stem cell surgery done on his hip, and got a special brace only to allow him to basically finish the season. And, you know, famously with the hours of preparation before each game. Anyway, just a fantastic article. I might throw the link into the description here. You get the gist, though, just outlining the brutal emotional toll that it took for him to even overcome this. Because Alex asked him smartly, hey, why are you still doing this? I mean, you could have easily walked away. And he said, yeah, 2 years ago, I probably could have. And he's just at a point now in his career where he just wants to see how far that he can take it. And it's really insane, just the lengths to which he was hurting. I mean, he had to take Toradol, which is a very famous painkiller, or I should say infamous painkiller, you know, due to the NFL concussion lawsuits. Not really in that same vein here, but he had the plasma-rich, the platelet injections, as well as the stem cell procedure, and then added to that just constant painkillers to make it through games. And I came away thinking 2 things here.
Hit me
reading
with
this
it.
article.
Hit me with it.
One is that, first off, all of the hats off to Ryan Kesler, because that just, I mean, that's insane how bad it got. And he even enlisted the services of a sports psychologist this season just to cope with the fact that not only dealing with the injury, but also his new role as a player. I mean, his
role's changed.
His role has changed. And it's funny, there was a quote from the recent game against Minnesota where he scored, and he said that when he got to the bench, he yelled at Getzlaf. He said, "I feel 18 again." he said to Getzlaf, "My body teases me sometimes like this." And so it was really endearing to me for Kesler, just because, you know, obviously we have been critical of him in recent years, and, you know, I mean, we have to evaluate what we see on the ice, but now knowing what's happening off it, I got to say that it's impressive that he's been able to just bare minimum play. I mean, the guy couldn't walk up his stairs.
Yeah. Really quickly, a few things I want to make mention of. This was shared to, I think, both of us by Justin Everhart, Lockdown Late Night in the Twitch chat. And he said he wanted me to give a shout out to his wife, Natty, who actually sent it to him before he found it. So she was the first one to find it. sent it to him, then he sent it to us because he was the first person to send it on over. I actually have not had a full chance to read through the entire article, full disclosure on that, but it is, as from what I've read from it, is a really good insight to what Ryan Kesler has had to go through, what he'll have to continue to go through, and what he's kind of done for his dedication. And I think it's a very important read to see what these hockey players go to. Having said that, I don't think, and let me know if you agree or disagree with this should impact the way we evaluate his on-ice play at all. We've many times mentioned that Kesler is a warrior. He's gone through a lot. He's dealt with a lot. He's done a lot of he's done a lot to stay in the game, as you can see from this article.
He's literally spent a ton of money.
Yeah, and
just
worked
to stay in the NHL
and worked his ass off.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he went from, I think there was a stat that he went from not being able to do a certain exercise at the beginning of the summer to then being able to do 300 pounds by the end of it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
and so I think
that just goes to show.
I think having said that, you can't let that impact your analysis of the player on the ice and the impact that he is having. I think that you can have an appreciation for the fact that he is going out there every single day and that he's hit 1,000 games with this hip injury. That is damn impressive. There's no other way to put it, and I'm not trying to take anything away from that, having said this. But I don't think that you can also, in hand, look at this and say, well, that's an excuse for him being not as good as he used to be and having a negative impact.
Right, and I mean, the Ducks have another case study of this on their team in Patrick Eaves, right, who I'm sure there could have been the same type of article written about him. But my second takeaway from this, obviously, one, again, kudos to Ryan Kesler. I know that the team would rather work through this and find a way to get him to play. But, I mean, they didn't really address that in the article. Like, how does the team feel about this? Is the team, because if you look at some of the procedures that occurred, some of the consultations he's had team representatives have been there, along with his personal staff, who they call in the article, they call themselves Team Kesler, and it really has taken a full team to get him back. But I just, he got to 1,000 games tonight, and I don't know how the team feels about it. They've obviously let him do everything that he possibly can to his body to get to this point, and we'll see how it all looks in 20, 30 years. But, I'm not trying to be critical of them necessarily, but I wish they had addressed that within the article, because allowing this player to undergo. You're allowing a player to undergo very serious medical procedures on his body. I mean, they said he had 10 loose bone chips or whatever in his hip. He basically had shrapnel in his hip. One of them some of them were baby teeth sized. I mean,
that's not fun. That's painful.
All this to say that I don't know where this leads. And I honestly think that my belief that he retires after this season, I'm not saying I necessarily think he will, but I think that my estimation of the probability that happens has gone up, because he got to 1,000 games. He managed to get this far through. How long is he willing to really pay this price just to play in games? I don't know, man. I just think he's going to have to retire at some point. And I mean, all players do, but I just think for him, he's got 3 more years left on his deal. Seeing all the effort it takes to get through one season, Kesler's a warrior. He's already surpassed expectations.
He's shown that he can battle through it. It's whether he's going to have I don't know if it's questioning his drive, but it's hard.
Right, but also if you're the team, how long do you sit here and say, and just kind of allow this to happen? I mean, at some point say, Ryan, we have a stake in this game as well. We want to see you progress, but honestly, at this point, we also want to see you just kind of be able to just carry on as a normal person. The guy still can't run on the beach with his kids.
That's what I was going to say.
And we also have a financial stake in this, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say is that,
I don't know.
That's what I was going to say is that if you look, I mean, it's great that he's done all this work to get back. And like I said, it's really, really, it kind of shows the hard work he's had to put in. But it's, playing is not going to help his hip. Let's put it that way.
It's exactly. And he's already had to do, again, very serious things just to get back to this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that if you're the Ducks, if you don't want to corner him into retiring or anything like that, then I think the buyout is the next.
Yeah.
It's probably the most likely scenario here.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those.
Because I think, honestly, based on everything he's done here, you almost want to see like he's earned the next 3 years of pay. You know?
Well, and so
but at the same time, it is a business.
We should just jump into this right now because it's relevant to the topic. We got someone asking us on Twitter, and I have that put up. We have a couple people in the Twitch chat talking about it. So let's see. B Schneider Han 24 mentioned that kind of you can still justify his contract to this date. And kind of added, I feel the work could pay off for at least a good half season before he retires. I think the issue is you gotta isolate kind of this warrior type of mentality to his contract. You can't, and with judging the player, because if you look at the player on the ice, if you take out all the kind of emotional attachment that you have after reading this article and look at the player on the ice, that player is not worth 6.8. I don't even gripe really at the Ducks giving him this contract because at that point in time they were contending. That was the contract.
And they were going all in.
That was the that like I've made mention. That's a contract you can justify as you gave him that deal so he would be there so you could have another year or two of that you could basically have another year or two to contend. And I don't fault them honestly for giving him that deal for that fact. But we have a couple different people asking what happens to the contract cap hit if he retires. So if he were to retire, the contract basically goes away. He gives up all the money, pretty much.
Right. He walks away from $18 or so million.
Yep. But which is not nothing. If he goes on long-term injured reserve, he keeps getting paid out, and there's no cap hit. And then on top of that, don't duck up THFC. I really need to get that right because I'm wearing my Tottenham kit right now, and that's a reference to Tottenham. Joe said, question for the pod. What will it officially take for them to LTIR Kesler for 3 years instead of buying him out? I mean, he does have a chronic hip. So what do you think it would take for them to LTIR him? You want my take first, or you want to go for it?
I mean, we're just ruling out a buyout here?
Well, no, it's basically what would it take for them to basically put him on LTIR instead of buying him out?
Well, at this point, it's really hard to know what it would take because he's gone to extremes and he's still out there. He's still playing. So, and they've only just now gotten realistic about how many minutes he should play. I mean, it's been within the last 3 months, basically.
Yeah. I mean,
now he, and I'm sorry, but
go for it.
Now Ryan Kesler playing 20 minutes a night under Randy Carlyle seems like such a worse decision. It was already a bad decision at the time.
Last year.
But not only was he was not, and we said this at the time, he wasn't putting his team in a position to succeed, and he definitely was not putting the player in a position to succeed.
He was harming the long-term outlook of Ryan Kesler. You look at everything.
He was hurting his hip.
You look at what Kesler had to do this past summer. How much of that can be or how much of that is because he was playing so many minutes when he came back?
Well, and the thing is that, again, this goes back to how much did the team know versus how much did that affect their decision making? You know, that's what this is that's what I would like to know, because if, let's say, they knew perfectly well exactly what was going on and they were still playing him, I mean, obviously he's going to tell them, yes, I can play, but can't they kind of realize maybe we should play him 12 to 15 minutes and get the best out of him? I mean, it's already good enough that he's playing. I don't know. I just think that in hindsight, and obviously it's not even a question of hindsight, because they clearly had they obviously had more information than we did, and us just looking on the outside already knew that was a bad situation. So now with even more information, it looks like one of the worst decisions that they've made in recent years, and that's a fireable offense right there. I mean, he was fired eventually.
Yeah,
but that's in and of itself a fireable
it was putting your short-term gain above the long-term outlook of both the team and the player.
Right, exactly.
I mean, so here's the rub on it.
Mm-hmm.
Is Ryan Kesler as a fourth-line center at $6.875 million a year worth it for this team moving forward?
Well, of course not. I mean, if that's a yes or no question, how can you answer yes?
So
I don't
basically,
know.
getting back to Joe's question that he had for us about what will it officially take for them to LTIR Kesler, I think it's got to be an honest conversation with him and say, hey, here's kind of where we're at right now. You at 6.875 is not worth it for our team and negatively impacts the team. I understand if you want to keep playing. We will give you that option to go and do that, but it can't be here at that cap hit. So we're going to have to go and buy you out. And so Ryan Kesler will not make the full value of his contract. It's going to be 2/3 of the remaining value at a lesser hit. And the thing with LTIR is in a situation like this, it has to be clearance. There has to be basically a medical professional saying that he can't play on it anymore, which if Ryan Kesler probably agrees to it, I guarantee you right now someone would tell him that.
Right. Well, by the way, just his cap hit on a buyout would be 2.4, descending to 2.2 for 6 seasons. So, I mean, I think that additional $4 million in cap space, it really hurts to say this, but that additional $4 million in cap space is more valuable, right, than the 2 that it's taking up, and then compare that to the 6 that's being taken up. I mean, that's just kind of the nuts and bolts of it. I mean, the guy literally could not put a sock on standing up. That was another thing that put in the article. So anyway, I thought that this was worthy of conversation because it has been such a hot button topic throughout the last couple of years. And now it feels like we have the truth. So that's always refreshing. By the way, there was a game tonight.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. Before the game actually started, Sam Steele and Jacob Larson, emergency call-ups.
Yes.
Is that the official term?
That emergency recall.
Emergency recall, and that is partially due to Devin Shore being out with a Charley horse. I've never seen Charley horse used as an official term, but I guess it's a medical term.
Yeah, I guess so.
So Devin Shore out, like we thought, no additional or no supplemental discipline for that play. Didn't expect it, didn't happen. So we'll see what happens with Devin Shore. Getzlaff was in tonight, and I believe there was one other player out tonight on defense. Did Larson end up playing?
No, Larson did not play. Larson did not play.
Okay, that's right. So let's just get into the first period here. The Ducks would strike first. Jakob Silfverberg gets a tip in. And by the way, Jakob Silfverberg's been pretty good since signing that new contract, which who would have thought that job security would help player performance?
Yeah, I mean, it is a crazy thing.
I thought that was ruining the league. People are telling me on Twitter, but anyway, I digress here. It was actually a pretty nice play. I mean, the Ducks just controlling down low, Lindholm getting it over to the point. Silfverberg goes to the net, redirects the Manson shot. That would put the Ducks up 1-0 against a pretty good Arizona Coyotes team right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Coyotes are playing some really, really good hockey. And I mean, I think they had won 4 or 5 straight. They've worked their way back into the playoff race. And so the fact that the Ducks did this and kind of took this lead and got into a good spot against the Coyote teams is definitely something to make note of, especially Darcy Kemper's played really well for them of late and really put up some good numbers for them and has really been handling the starter role pretty well. I mean, one of the things with the Coyotes that kind of made me a little hesitant to back up my prediction earlier on in the year that they would make the playoffs is the fact that they've been without Antti Raanta for most of the year. And that is a big, big hit because at the end of last season, Antti Raanta was one of the best goalies in the league. And I don't think there's anyone that follows hockey on a league level that would basically argue otherwise at the end of the league or at the end of the season.
Right.
And so the fact that they're missing him and Darcy Kemper, who quite frankly struggled when he first went to Arizona last year, the fact that Darcy Kemper has been able to step in and provide very, very solid goaltending has been huge for this team. And so this is not kind of your Arizona Coyotes of years past that have been struggling and haven't been in the playoff race. This is a good team.
Right. Now let's get to the third goal here. Not a great play, I would say, by Troy Terry. Collects a puck, actually makes a nice play to intercept the pass, and then dumps the puck out of the convincingly. I mean, you could say it was a bad change by the Ducks, but he's immediately bring it back into the Duck zone. The puck gets centered in, and Lawson Krause is able to make it 1-1 hockey game. Brandon Gooley on the play probably maybe could have intercepted the pass or at least lifted a stick. Either way, I mean, the Ducks just kind of get caught there. You would like to see a more convincing dump by Troy Terry, but he would eventually make up for it.
He'll learn.
But before we get to that, though, Adam Henrique with a power play tally. It's like everyone that was asleep for a while is just waking up for the Ducks. Adam Henrique on the power play, deflecting a really nice attempt from Rickard Rakell in that left circle. He's able to redirect it home. A really nice backhand tip.
Yeah.
That would put the Ducks up 2-1. Now let's get to Jake's favorite part of the pod here. Well, maybe Tankathon is his favorite part. I don't know. But
Tankathon's by far my favorite part of the pod.
I think this is gonna surpass it for today's show.
Maybe.
Troy Terry, your boy,
American hero,
the man that you have been promoting since
November of
2017.
November 2017.
November 2017. It's been that long.
It's been that long.
Well, Jake, rewarded with a really nice feed from Jakob Silfverberg, gets it over to Troy Terry in that right shooting spot on the power play, a spot on the ice where we've seen him succeed at the AHL level. And like I mentioned last game, a spot that I thought he looks comfortable in right now, being a dual threat guy, being able to pass and also shoot. On this play, he elects to shoot, corrals the puck, makes no mistake, gets it right past Darcy Kemp. That makes us would eventually have a goal call back due to an offsides review. But outside of that, a really nice win for the Ducks and a team that has been playing very well. Care to fill us in on some of the stats since Randy Carlyle has been fired?
So, really quickly, I did want to talk about that Terry goal. So that is an exact play that we've kind of seen from him down with the goals since he's come with the Ducks, especially on the power play. He's been setting up on that right half wall. And so he basically will get the puck over there, and it's kind of this weird little toe drag type move where he just pivots ever so slightly, and it kind of changes the shooting angle. And one thing I noticed specifically on this play, if you look at how he released it, he wasn't exactly in your typical shooting motion at the point he released. He was kind of in a weird spot with his feet, and I think that type of shot and release and kind of timing of his release really kind of can throw a goaltender off and really kind of be deceptive for his shot. And I think that's why that shot goes in, because if you look at where it was placed, it was kind of close to Kemper's body and was kind of in that spot right under the glove, right above the pad, and it probably was something that Kemper...
It was a Matthews-esque release.
Yeah, and so it's deceptive. And I think that's something... Wait, did you just say that Troy Terry had an Austin Matthews... It took a while. It took a while for that to click, that Troy Terry had an Austin Matthews-like release. You heard it from Felix, not from me.
I mean, the thing is that before this season, it's like no one noticed that guys were doing that until Austin Matthews started doing it. But, I mean, it was a really nice release. And, again, it's not always about how hard you can shoot it. It's about deceiving the goalie before the puck has even been released. Something that you and I learned at our adult skills clinic yesterday at Great Park.
What did we learn? Sorry.
Well, we didn't actually learn that. We just did like crossovers and learning how to skate because
as it turns out, hockey's hard.
Well, as it turns out, hockey's really hard. And we did a skills clinic last night. This is now totally a tangent, but we are getting ready. We are gearing up for the Podcast Classic.
We are getting into mid-season form. I should probably be able to say it right. Podcast Classic. Coming up on, for those of you that want to come, it is on March 24th at noon at Lakewood Ice. You can come. Actually, all of the spots, I believe, are filled at this point for Team Anaheim calling. But if you want to come and hang out and watch, make fun of George mainly on the ice, make fun of Felix also, make fun of me.
Make fun of Jake.
Definitely make fun of
Jake's
me.
New skates.
Make fun of my new skates. Jake Robles from Twitter will be our goalie. And we're going to be trying to take down Totally Offsides. And we won last time. The 25 hours hockey does not count because neither you nor I played in that game, so it does not count as an official one. So
it doesn't count.
We're looking to make Anaheim calling 2-0 in the Podcast Classic. So
yeah, this is a grudge match. This is an absolute grudge match. There may be gloves dropped. Who knows?
Yeah,
there were gloves dropped last year. CJ and Chip went at it.
That's right.
It wasn't necessarily a heavyweight tilt.
No,
put it that way.
If Chip's in the fight, it's not a heavyweight tilt. Lightweight.
Yes, it was the bantamweight division.
There we go. All right, so let's jump in.
All right.
I want to give some stats from basically, so since Randy Carlyle was fired, it's been 11 games since he was fired, and Bob Murray went on the bench. And in that time, the Ducks, and granted, 11 games still isn't a huge sample size, but you can glean some information from it. The Ducks are sitting 11th in the league with a 50.2 Corsi for percentage, so right above break even in terms of Corsi for. So they're controlling shots slightly above average, or slightly above break even, so they're getting slightly more shots than they're allowing against. But here's where it's really interesting. They're 5th in the league in scoring chance for percentage and 5th in the league in high danger chance for percentage. And they're sitting around 53% scoring chance for percentage, 55% high danger chance for percentage. What that means is that they're controlling the shots. They're getting more shots than they're allowing against. And this is drastic for this Ducks team. The fact that they have made the jump from essentially being one of the worst teams in the league in all of these categories. To now being the 5th best in scoring chance for and high danger chance for, and 11th in Corsi for percentage. That just kind of shows you that how bad of a coach Randy Carlyle was. I mean, I don't know if there's any.
Right. I mean,
know.
Here's my caveat to that.
Go for it.
And this isn't a Carlisle is good caveat, but during streak 2.0, I believe, the one in January, the Ducks were actually playing decent hockey if you looked at some of those categories. Yeah. And eventually it became a snowball effect. I mean, they weren't getting the bounces. They weren't getting saves.
They weren't this high up. They weren't 5th in the league, though.
No, they weren't. But, I mean, that was also a bit of a bigger sample, I would say. And so
it was like 11 games. Streak 2.0 was 13 games.
Right. But, I mean, I was looking at it from like a 25-game stretch.
Oh, okay, got it.
The time of the streak till like early December. And so during that time, they played well. But, like to your point, it's a very improvement. This is not just, okay, well, because even if, let's say, they had been league average right now, if they were just middle of the pack and everything right now, that would still be like, wow, what a great improvement. But for them to be this high up, I mean, I think that speaks to a couple of things. Bob Murray, head coach Bob Murray, maybe it's because he listens to his assistants more, who knows what the reason is, but he's been using this lineup, I would say, pretty optimally. I mean, Lindholm and Manson have been reunited full-time. Brandon Montour has been shipped out. Brandon Gooley has arrived. He's formed a competent pairing with Cam Fowler. Kesler has been properly utilized in a fourth-line role, and the kids have gotten real run. And I would say that those are, surprise, surprise, those are things that the Anaheim Calling podcast was clamoring for the first 3 months of the season. Yeah. And I got to say, there's another caveat to this. This is all without Andre Kasha, and this is also without Ryan Getzlaf in a decent amount of games. Yeah. So I would say that this, as far as the tank is considered, this is a pretty good stretch for Anaheim because they're playing well. Yes. They're seeing great improvement from some key pieces of this lineup, but they're still not.
They're 2-5 in their last 7. They're still going to finish
pretty low.
They're 2-5 in their last 7, and so I mean, when we talked about Randy Carlyle getting fired and what I wanted to see. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Granted, 2 wins in a row doesn't exactly help the tank as much as I would like, but they're playing well. They're getting, as I kind of wanted at the time, they're unsustainably losing. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the best way to put it. And that's good for the team. That's good for them moving forward. That's good in a lot of different ways. One thing, though, that I wanted to kind of mention is it's not just different things that we're seeing on the ice with the way people are being utilized, different things like that. And I think it's interesting that you have the same assistant coaches, and kind of what type of indictment does that have on Randy Carlyle as a coach, that you have the same assistant coaches? Bob Murray, for all intents and purposes, has said he's not doing a whole lot of coaching. He's leaving that up to the assistants. So these are the same assistants that were under Randy, and now they're getting more out of the players than Randy was able to. And I think that kind of just shows you that you eliminate that one piece and they instantly start playing better. That kind of allows you to isolate what the issue was. But having said that, another interesting thing is, I mean, can we argue that the lineup's being optimized in a much better way now than it ever was in the past? The fact that Sam Steele came up, and is in the lineup, and instead of putting him, as much as I would love to see him with Max Jones and Troy Terry, the fact that he was put on a line with Jakob Silfverberg and Rickard Rakell, I was mentioning this was the absolutely perfect spot to put him in, because you have two guys who are able to put the puck on net. They're also able to create their own chances, so you're not going to be really relying upon Steele on an offensive front to do a whole lot if he doesn't have to. He can do that and set them up, but he's not being relied upon. And those are also two guys who are defensively responsible. So you're essentially putting him in a scenario where he's essentially covered on all fronts as a center, and that's the perfect scenario to call up a guy.
Agreed. I mean, I think that they are putting guys in a position to succeed. One last note for me before we jump into some questions here. One thing that's interesting is that in the stretch of games that we're describing here since Carlyle's been fired, guess where the Ducks rank in save percentage at 5-on-5?
20th.
First.
Wait, sorry, say that again?
Guess where they rank in save percentage at 5-on-5?
Since Randy Carlyle was fired.
They are first. Guess where they are in shooting percentage since Randy Carlyle's been fired?
That's probably where it's hitting. Let's go with 25th.
They're last.
Damn. I was wrong on both fronts.
They're first in save percentage and they're last in shooting percentage. So the fact that they look this good and that they are winning some games, I mean, I think that the shooting percentage to me speaks of, I mean, it's obviously unsustainably low. And this kind of tells me that they could be on the verge of a pretty decent winning streak here. I mean, all the underlyings are there except the shooting percentage. But it does kind of check out because obviously, as good as some of the guys have looked, their true talent level league-wide is probably still below average. And so the shooting percentage being near in the bottom tier should not be that surprising, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's jump into some questions. So do we have anything in the Twitch chat here? I think I saw a good one.
If you can find some, I'm just going to start telling some people. So if you're watching this,
people are saying that you hate the Ducks winning.
Well, that's George.
Care to answer for that accusation?
That's George. No, I don't hate the Ducks.
No, there's a crowd now.
Oh, there is.
Pitchforks.
Who says it?
Yes.
Is it?
George's. Well, it's George and Bonnie.
Oh,
so
it's George and Bonnie then.
I mean, it might be
doesn't count. That doesn't
Bad
count.
Fan.
That doesn't count. That does not count.
Zen has 8 had a good question.
Wait. So, for those of you watching the recorded version of this show or listening to the recorded version of the show, we do a live stream on Twitch each and every time at twitch.tv/AnaheimCallingSBN. At that, on the stream, if you want to support us, you can in a way that's completely free to you. If you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime, or you can get Twitch Prime completely free to you, and you can use your Twitch Prime sub on any of your favorite streamers out there. If you would like to use it on us, we'd greatly appreciate it. It's a way for you to basically support us in a way that's completely free to you. And with that, you get special emotes in the chat, a special badge next to your name, and we'll try to prioritize your questions as they're coming in through the Twitch chat. So, you said you had a question?
I did have one that I had to scroll for a little bit, but Senez8 was asking, well, now I lost it because of you. You're just what's wrong tonight? No, but
I'm in a great mood. Tottenham are moving on.
Are you?
Tottenham are moving on to the
Champions
League quarterfinals. Took out a giant of Europe in Borussia Dortmund. The Bundesliga, I think they're still in first place. They may be in second. I think they're still in first above Bayern Munich. But we moved on, went to Dortmund, got a 1-0 win. I'm happy. All of my fun, all my sporting joys right now in Tottenham.
Anyway, let's move on from that. Zenez8 asking, is Cautious someone that EVP, IHC, GMBM, so Bob Murray, might move as part of the offseason retool? Is there any possibility that Andre Kase gets moved this season or this offseason?
Andre Kase, no. No way.
I would say no. Good contract, good player. Usually those don't get moved.
Damn. Real quick. Lockdown Late Night just gave us his 5th straight month of subbing. I think that's probably the longest streak we have on here because I think we started this about 5 months ago, and so I should give him a shout out and said 5 glorious months was Anaheim calling. Thank you, Felix, Jake, CJ, and George for all the hard work, time spent, and beer drank to facilitate such a great podcast. So thank you, Lockdown, for your fifth straight month.
We do appreciate it. Randy Carlyle 1. I hope I pronounced that right. Asking a good question. Daniel Sprong with 7:17 of time on ice tonight, 4:26 at even strength. Is this a sign he's not in term plans? I mean, we've kind of discussed it before on previous shows. It's mixed signals because he was scratched for a number of games, then back in the lineup pretty consistently now. I think he's looked good the last couple of games. I still think that they probably give him another season. I think that he's in the near term plans, I would say.
Yeah. Also, Ken Pafu just gave us his fourth straight month.
Any thoughts on that?
I think you're spot on. Ken Pafu gave us his 4th straight month of sub.
All right. Let's see here.
We got one from Boom. Yeah.
Asking,
is Carter Rowney's 3-year deal worth it now that we've seen him play?
I mean, I don't think I would give him that term at the time, but it is working out now.
Yep. And then he also said, who would they move in response to, I think, you bringing up Andre Kasha?
Who would they move? I mean, to me, the obvious ones continue to be
We got another 5 straight months from C Monkey 001. I want to give these people shout outs that are over 4 months. So thank you, C Monkey.
Absolutely. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Now, I keep referring to Henrique and Fowler. They just make the most sense. They free up the most money. I think you can still get return for them. According to Jake, Henrique can get you PK Subban. So,
yep,
for PK Subban in Anaheim.
Yep.
As a proud owner of a Subban Canadiens jersey, which will be proudly worn at Honda Center Friday night.
Hey, look out for Felix. Felix the troll coming in. SCFU Shane said, question, now after seeing Perry for a decent amount of games, what do you make of him? Is he healthy? Might we be seeing another Solani effect?
I mean, I'm not ready to go there. I know that narrative was bandied about by Jake for most of the season, but he has looked good. I mean, him and Getzlaf's line has consistently been among the leaders, in all the underlying numbers, game in and game out. He hasn't looked necessarily dynamic to me.
He's looked good,
like he was in his prime, but he's looked good. And again, low expectations for now. I think I'll probably be a little bit more critical next season, but for right now, I think it's good. He certainly looks better than he did, I would say, at the end of last year.
Yep, I think that's probably right on par. I had a couple questions from Twitter that I want to get to. So if anyone in Twitch had more questions, start throwing them in. It's hard to really scroll up. So if you save them and throw them in when we ask for questions, that makes it a little bit easier to kind of find all of them. So this is also from Joe from Twitter. Said, statement/hot take. Gouli not only looks better than Montour for his age, but he sees him as the permanent second pair lefty, better than Fowler, and Fowler should be moved if Murray is truly smart. Any takes on that?
Well, Fowler should be moved for a multitude of reasons. I don't know if Brendan Gouli is one of them, but yes, that is not a hot take around these parts, my good man, because yes, I agree. Gouli is probably at least as good, if not better than Brandon Montour. I don't know yet about the Fowler thing because as critical as I am of Fowler, he is far superior to Brandon Montour. So we'll see. I don't know if Gouli makes Fowler expendable because, I mean, Fowler does, hate him or love him, he plays a lot of minutes, plays in all situations. Those are just, you have to have an adequate replacement or some guy who can play those minutes. Gouli hasn't necessarily done that yet. So I don't know if I'm ready to go that far. Yes, Fowler should be traded, or at least they should explore that possibility.
All right. So Kempafu said, if for some reason we refuse to tank and the Ducks keep this crap up and make it to the wild card, do we as fans cheer along as if we believe, quote unquote, they can win a cup? So, Ken, I'm going to lay it real quick right here. The Ducks aren't making the playoffs. There's a point.
Yeah, it's not happening.
There's a 0.15% chance per money puck of the Ducks making the playoffs. So
It ain't happening.
No, it's not. They're too far out, and there's too many teams, and those teams are winning a lot. So it's not exact.
But the Ducks are winning.
They're 2-5 in their last.
Just
7.
saying.
So
Christian
J17 says, if the Ducks draft Cozens or Doc, do they play next season? That's an interesting question. I think there's an opportunity. I think there's an opportunity.
I think that what we've seen with recent draft history is that players that aren't, your top pick, right, or your top 2 picks, that are guys who everyone just expects to go right to the NHL, they will get an opportunity to make the team, but teams won't hesitate to give them time, right, and keep those ELC years. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think – I just don't know, because the Ducks do like to be conservative with their youngsters, and if guys come in and don't knock it out of the park right away, I would not be surprised if anyone spends another year in junior. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, and then we got this question coming in from CMonkey 001 says, where do you rank the Ducks prospects with the rest of the league?
That's a hard question, only because I'm not too familiar with the rest of the league's prospect pool. I mean, if we're going to grade it on, top end talent, I think that the Ducks are probably.
I just think overall
top 10
overall prospect pool.
I would say they're middle of the pack.
I would say they're around 10th. I would say around 10th.
Yeah, I mean, sure, middle, between the 10 and 15 range.
They have.
The problem is there aren't any studs. That's the problem.
Yes, they have a lot of good players. And I think that's something that's important, because if you can complement those good players with an elite level score or something like that, then that team becomes a lot better, because that elite level score will bring up those good players to a whole nother level.
I mean, in theory, to me, they have 3 good players. 3 good NHL prospects, or very good NHL prospects: Jones, Terry, and Comtois. And then after that, I would put Steele. I'm using the Pronman language here. I would put those 3 as very good NHL prospects. I would put Steele as a good NHL prospect.
I put Mahura as a good.
And then after that, yeah, I think you could put Mahura in the Steele category, probably. Although maybe I'd put him even slightly above Steele.
Are we now too low on Steele?
No, not really.
I feel like we're a little.
He has been decent. He's been decent in San Diego. It's just he's a victim of expectations. Like I always say with prospects, came in with a lot of expectations with his CHL career, and he hasn't really done anything to say, yes, I am that player. Whereas Terry and Jones, Terry took a little time. And again, Steele, I'm not ruling out the possibility that's going to happen. He's probably going to end up being an NHL player. I just think that Terry and Jones, there's always something that you can just notice. It's like, okay, I can see this guy being this player. I can see him doing that. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting to see that. And maybe it'll come. But again, he's had a decent season in the AHL. I think he did pick it up, took him a little time to adjust. I'm going to be probably judging him more next season than this one. It's his first season of professional hockey.
Yeah.
It's a big jump from juniors. So we'll see next season. I'll just say the jury is out right now on Steele. I'm not going to judge him right now.
Yeah, and I think that someone had mentioned that they didn't think Steele, I think it was Spencer, that they didn't think Steele would make the team next year. I think that, honestly, this season, it's his first year, and this is my opinion on it, is that you're going to give him a full offseason to kind of work on and kind of digest what happened this year in pro. And I think the second year is going to be the important one to see how he reacts to what he saw.
He is a smart player, and so if he comes in next year, kind of having working on his body, working on skills, he has the mind, I think, to apply those things. So we'll see.
Yep. All right. So Piggy 7 SWAT. Let's try to blitz through some of these questions. We have some really good ones in the Twitch chat. Said,
yes.
Why was Max Jones playing on Kesler's line and not the Henrique and Terry line? So they did this last game to kind of put.
They did it last game
to put Max Jones in a more checking role, I think, is what they were trying to do, and elevate, I believe it was Daniel Sprong to that Henrique line. So adding on to Cold Fire 725, and actually I have not been able to find that question, but this is from STFU Shane. I'll see if I can find that other question at a certain point in time, but said, how many high danger chances does a dude need to get before he can get a goal?
I mean, it'll happen.
It'll happen
for him.
It'll definitely happen. George asks us, when stopping in ice hockey, do you use your outside edge or inside edge? And I have the answer for George. Do you know the answer?
I can't answer that. I can't stop in ice hockey.
You use your flat edge.
Yeah.
So
that's something I learned last night at the clinic.
You did.
Wow.
So on an ice skate,
things is cool.
You have your inside edge, you have your outside edge, and you have the flat edge directly underneath. The flat edge you use to basically slide. When you're stopping, you're not turning, you're sliding. You're shaving off the top of the ice. So that is how you stop. That's how I was taught to stop at a Learn to Play, actually. So Kempafu asks, is the pod classic full check? Yes. Yes, it is.
For some it is. For others, it doesn't seem to be.
For Felix, it is. For Felix,
for Kestrel Scott, it's full check.
Love you, Scott. For Felix, for anyone going against Felix, it's full check against him. I'm gonna be on Felix's line, and it's probably still full check for me against Felix.
I'm a marked man. That's okay.
So Boomstat Band said
on the scoreboard.
Question: do we want to lose the remaining games against LA? We have a lot of games against them, and we don't want Hughes in LA.
Probably.
I think from a logical long-term sense, yes, you want to lose those games.
But you should be able to destroy them as well. So I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, I mentioned this I think on a recent show, and you agreed. As much as it would suck that the Kings would get one of them, having Hughes and Kakko in Southern California, one on the Ducks, one on the Kings, would be awesome.
Yeah. Great for the sport.
Oh,
absolutely great for the sport.
So good for the sport. I'd hate it, but it would be so great for the sport. So we have this question from Twitter from Daniel Navarrete. Said, "I've been wanting Twitter. I've been wanting to ask, who do you think will be the next coach, and do you think Murray might surprise us?" And I also added, in your mind, who would you keep and who would you let go for the team next year?
Oh boy, I mean, I think you bring in a new coach. That's the first thing. I think that you make some of the obvious cap moves, at least one of them, either Henrique or Fowler. And then you kind of just stand a little pat and just see what this team looks like with a new coach. And if they continue the way they're playing and they win games, get into playoff position, then I think you can feel good about this team moving forward, especially if you add in a top 5, top 7 prospect. So that's my take on that question.
Yep. All right. So here's a question from Kempafu. Said, based on the SoCal 1-2, does Hughes or Kakko make LA good at all? They seem like a lost cause for a while. $22 million tied up in 2 players.
I mean, we've seen this around the league. Just getting a top pick doesn't necessarily make you great. Look at the Oilers, but at the same time, the odds are it's going to make you way better.
I think the Ducks are in a better spot to compete sooner with that high pick than the Kings
are.
Right.
If you inject a guy like that into the Ducks lineup, like let's just say equal parts right now. So you inject a Hughes into this Ducks team, or the Ducks next season, or Kings, I would say the Ducks are easily a much better team with one of those two than the Kings would be.
Yep, I agree. I'm trying to find that one question that was mentioned as I'm searching. It's going to take me a little bit. You have anything else you want to talk about?
I am kind of needing to wrap up. My recording device is running low on battery.
Then let's start wrapping this thing up, because, I can't find anything more. Oh, let's just go. Why not? Oh, close your ears. Plug your ears.
Oh, yes. All right, just wave at the camera. I'm going to take off my headphones. Wave at the camera.
So everyone, Felix does not want to know the result of the Kings Montreal game because he's recording it. The Kings won 3-0, or the Kings lost. Not they didn't win. The Kings lost 3-0. Montreal won. So that does not help the tankening. And everyone can know that Felix is the worst, and I hate him. Not really. All right, I'll wave at him now.
Is it safe?
Sure.
Is it safe?
So the game ended.
Am I good? Am I spoiler safe?
You're probably spoiler safe.
Probably. I don't like this uncertainty.
I mean, I wouldn't trust the people in our Twitch chat.
Okay, well, I'm just not going to look at that. All right. So anything else you want to address here, or should we start wrapping up?
Let's wrap up. Oh, I do want to let's do a tankathon for fun. Let's see how long it takes. Ducks have the fifth best.
Fifth, yes. They've been dropping. They were at third for a little bit there.
I just got a third. I got a second. They just got Kako. Edmonton won, though. That would be awful. How long is this going to take me this time? It's not working. Please? 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 Why is it not working now?
The degree to which this has kept Jake entertained all season is truly admirable.
Oh, I could do this all day long. I keep getting 2. I can't get a 1. It doesn't want to end on a 1. Why?
All right, do 3 more. All right,
so 1, 2, 3, 4. All right.
Oh, my God.
There we go. Got it. Also, the one before this was 1-2 Ducks Kings.
All right. So,
wait.
On that note,
wait. Here's an idea. Sorry. Really quick. Really quick. If the Ducks got second and the Kings got first, would you do a 2 plus the late round first for number 1?
No.
Okay.
If they get 2, the drop off isn't high enough. The payoff isn't as high. I think the gap between Hughes and Kako isn't vast enough. From what I've heard, I don't know. I don't have as much of an opinion as I probably should, but I will have a fully fleshed out one by the time the draft hits. Okay. That being said, thanks a lot for listening tonight, guys. We will be right back tomorrow night as the Ducks take on the Blues at home. Is that correct?
Yes, they take on the Blues.
Ryan Kesler will be honored for the 1,000 games. Make sure to check that out. We will be back with another pod tomorrow night, and we will be back with the pod Friday after the Ducks take on the Canadiens. I'm very excited for that game. As always,
we have
enjoying the show.
We have shirts now also.
Yes, we have shirts.
I'm putting the link in the Twitch chat.
Yes, so we're going to put that in the chat. We're also going to put that in the description for the podcast itself. But if you want to join the show, make sure to check us out on the Apple Podcast app. Leave a rating and a review. It really helps the show spread around the Apple Podcast app, up the rankings, and allows more people to see it when they're looking for a Ducks podcast. We want to be able to serve as many people as we can. We also are now selling some merchandise, really cool T-shirts with our lovely logo on the front. We have a hoodie. We have a standard T-shirt. And I think there's 2 other options.
There's a hoodie, a standard T-shirt, a woman's T-shirt, and a tank top. And I want to give a shout-out to both John Brabant and Tony Leo, who helped get the logo all set and ready to be on the shirt. I couldn't have done this without both of you.
Absolutely. They're great shirts. Go to the link that I'm going to put in the description. It helps obviously support the show, and you get a cool shirt. I mean, that's a win-win in my book. And again, everyone has been saying for a while now, can you guys make T-shirts? So we're doing it. As a reminder, our Patreon account, patreon.com/acpod, $5 a month gets you 2 bonus episodes, and you get access to our Discord chat. For $1 a month, you also get access to the chat where you can interact with us throughout the day. Yep. And there's breaking news, anything like that.
Oh, George wants credit for being a consult on Bonnie also. So fine. There's your consultation
Bonnie and George trashing our initial logo idea is what gives this even better logo on our shirts. So constructive criticism can go a long way. Collaborative efforts are better. So other things I want to mention, AnaheimCalling.com, at Anaheim Calling on Twitter. Jake is on Twitter. Go find him. Go bother him. Go spam him. Tell him he's wrong about Tottenham. That's at Reindeer Games 91.
I mean, I'm not wrong. We're winning the Champions League.
I really know nothing about soccer. And I am on Twitter at Felix_Sicard. Tweet at me. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me Brandon Montour is a Norris winning defenseman potentially. I would love to have that conversation. All right. Anything else that we need to plug here, Jake?
Nope. I think we are good. Oh, YouTube. Go like and subscribe on YouTube.
Yes. A lot of people like to listen to shows on YouTube.
I do it.
So, yes, I've done it in the past. So if you're a YouTube person, search us on YouTube, and we're going to be right there.
And Patreon watch party, March 23rd. If you are a patron, go check out the Patreon page. Also, if you can comment just to let us know if you're coming on that post, that would be helpful. I'll probably add an update to it to say to do that. But if you want to come to a watch party with us, please become a patron, and you can come to the watch party. The details for it are on there. It's for the March 23rd Ducks Kings game. It's going to be a good time. You'll be able to drink with us and have a good time. So, yep.
Absolutely. Well, with all of that being said, guys, have a good one, and we will catch you in roughly 24 hours. Talk to you then.
Bye.